welcome to Awesome Indies. I am your host, Shay Thompson, and I am so excited to bring you a jam-packed show with tons of trailers, gorgeous gameplay, and exclusive interviews. The Awesome Indie Showcase is all about highlighting the brilliant world of indie games and putting some titles on your radar that you might have otherwise missed. So get comfortable and come with me on this journey as we look at some of the most innovative, creative, and whimsical games the industry has to offer. Our first game invites you to explore a world where music is the key to everything. Philemon, a bird-like violin virtuoso, can awaken the realm of Symphonia with its instrument. As you jump, bounce, and activate ancient mechanisms with your violin and bow, you will discover a hand-drawn world of beauty and wonder. Let's have an exclusive look at Symphonia. Gamescom has taken major strides to become a little more green conscious. I'm happy to say that this year's event is 100% climate neutral. In addition to running on 100% renewable energy, there are other measures in place to avoid waste and ensure that people are recycling. Doesn't that make you feel inspired? Now, check out Shaven Stuff from Hype VR Games. One of my favourite things about Awesome Indies is the sheer range of different games and settings. We're starting off this next section with an 1870s interactive thriller, then boom, all of a sudden we're transported over to a handcrafted fairy tale. Let's take a closer look at our next trailers.
What? Where are you from? Here in the north we say moin. That means as much as hello. You will learn that. Oh yeah? Then tell me what I should have done. What are you talking about? Watch out that I don't punch you in the face right now!
Up next, we have an exclusive world premiere for you here at Awesome Indies. Don't say we don't spoil you. Menace is a sci-fi turn-based tactical RPG from the developers behind the indie hit Battle Brothers. I'm delighted to say that I'm joined by Joe Robinson from Hooded Horse Inc. Thank you so much for joining me. Putting a new game out into the world must be equal parts terrifying and exciting, right?
Every time, yeah. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So what can you tell us about the story and the setting?
Sure. So Menace is inspired by the 80s and 90s classic sci-fi movies. You are in charge of an elite strike force of Marines sent to the Wayback System, and your mission there is to restore order, bring a bit of civilization back to the frontier. The issue is that the FTL gate on the Wayback side is broken, so there is no way back from this mission you've been sent on. And when you get there, you'll find disparate factions all over the system. So you've got raiders, pirates, you've got normal people just trying to live their lives, you've got corporations trying to make money, and you've got to figure out, as a player, you've got to figure out how you want to deal with these factions, who you want to ally with, where you want to apply the resources that you have in order to complete your mission. And part of it is repairing the gate so that you can get more help from the core worlds. But as the campaign progresses, the Menace themselves show up, and they're a pretty big deal, and it will then become your job to try and unite these factions for a common good and try and survive, basically.
Awesome. So what can players expect from the gameplay?
I mean, if you've heard anything or seen anything about Battle Brothers, you'll be very pleased with what's happened with Menace. The developers have taken all of the good stuff from Battle Brothers, put a little sci-fi tinge on it, and then just made it, X amount better. So the three things that we're most proud of in terms of what the dev team have done, you've got the better characters. So each squad in your strike force is controlled by a single person. Like, they've got hopes, desires, dreams, they've got a backstory. You'll love them, you'll hate them, you have to try and get them to work together. As the campaign progresses, you may end up recruiting other people from the Wayback system to act as squad leaders with their own force. Your OG Marines may not like that, you still got to get the job done. But if a mission goes wrong, some of these characters could die. You could permanently lose access to that squad leader, and the benefits that they bring. So we really want the players to get invested in the characters, in their army, and just in the kind of the journey you take through the Wayback system. One of the other things we're really proud of is the strategic layer. So you still travel around the system. You're on a strike cruiser called the Impetus. It's your mobile base during the game, and you get to go to planet. But when you get there, it's not just you do a mission, pat yourself on the back on a job well done, and go home get the reward. In Menace, you have to plan out multi-mission operations. So you do the first mission, so you've got a foothold on the planet. What do you do next? Do you take out a supply line? Do you press forward? Do you do whatever option C is? And you go through these paths that will then culminate in a kind of more climactic end battle. And all the choices you make, all the decisions you make about where to go, what to do, they all kind of come to a head in this final battle. And once you've done that, then you get to pat yourself on the back and go home for the reward. But we think it's really going to make players a bit more invested in what they're doing, really make each mission that more meaningful, because it's not just that fight, it's what does this mean for the next fight and the next fight. And then on missions, the third thing that we're actually quite pleased for is we're calling it the living battlefield. So in some turn-based games, the action can get a bit stilted or disjointed. There's a rush of action and then everything stops because it's not your turn anymore. In Menace, the action never stops just because it's someone else's turn. Your troops are always firing, always trying to do their assigned orders. And it's all very tit for tat as well. Like, you've got, you move a unit and then your opponent moves a unit. It's very, you're always trying to think, okay, who needs help? What can I do? What are the consequences of me doing this? What's the best play here? So there's some really gritty tactical decisions the players have to make in every moment of a battle, because they're not given any rest or any time to think just because it's a turn-based game.
So it sounds like there's a lot here for players to sink their teeth into.
Yes, we're very happy with it. It's very exciting to announce this. Battle Brothers is enjoyed by hundreds of thousands of people across the world. We think they're really going to like Menace, but we also think that other people will also like Menace. If you like sci-fi, if you like just turn-based strategy in general, there's a lot here for a lot of gamers, and we're so happy we can finally share it with the world.
Awesome. Well, I'd say it's time to take a closer look at Menace. This week is packed with awesome events you don't want to miss. Check out gamescom.global to see the full schedule of what the gaming world has to offer. We're putting the power in your hands this year. To have a say in the Gamescom Awards, go to now.gamescom.global to vote for your top picks.
Hey you! Yes, you! Do you have FOMC? Fear of missing Gamescom? Relax. Gamescom is everywhere you want. Gamescom now. Register now.
Look, I'm not here to weigh in on the cats versus dogs debate, all right? But at least we can all agree that cats are cute as hell. In our next game, you'll embark on a journey in this physics-based multiplayer with nothing but a wagon and your wits. Take a look at Catrophy Tale.
Good. Oh no!
We're Indiana Jones.
No, it's impossible. There it goes.
Now, I am pleased to say that I'm joined by two very special guests, Geralbert and, of course, Renee, the director of Bip and Bits, the team behind Domekeeper. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me, or us.
Amazing. So obviously, Domekeeper's had a fantastic time since its release with, glowing reviews. Talk us through, the development cycle from the start all the way through till now.
Yeah, so, it started as a game jam game, and we made it in 3 days. And that's not something you ever expect after 3 days, that you will end up in a spot like this. But it was already clear, like, people were responding to the game in a very different way than our other jam games. And we quickly understood that we have something here. And then we just expanded on it and thought, okay, the game already works. After 3 days of development, the game works. We just don't need to break it, just expand it. That was also a luxury, and not needing to go 1 year into development to find out if it's fun or not, or something like that. Yeah, and then we expanded the game, and eventually Raw Fury saw that one and liked it. And Raw Fury was one of my favorite publishers anyway, and even Domekeeper is inspired in some aspects by Kingdom, which is like Raw Fury's own big, I think very first game. Yeah, and that was another stroke of luck with which, really, we went from amateurs doing that in the evening and weekends to the best case you can have as an indie, like doing your own game, being funded, and having a fantastic partner. So, that was just an amazing last year. So it's been two years actually, and it's been 1 year since release. But
Awesome. I'm so happy with you. I can see you're brimming with delight, which warms my chilly little heart. So obviously you're here to talk about the multiplayer mode. Yeah, talk us through it. You know, was this something that you always had in mind for the game?
Yeah, it was always, definitely was always something that we had in mind, and also something that people from day one have been asking, okay, when can we have multiplayer? And we are like, maybe in 2 years, something like that. But I even, like, before Gamekeeper released, just when we pitched to Raw Fury, I even implemented back then a little try of a co-op mode, which I played with Anne. And that worked already quite nicely, and it was clear, okay, this does feel nice. And with multiplayer now, we are aiming for 2 modes, a co-op mode, where you really can help each other, and a versus mode that I'm also very much looking forward, is where you have 2 domes competing against each other, sharing one mine, and where you can buy upgrades to send stronger monsters to your opponent. So you have to balance resources on your own drill and defense, but also if you have some to spare to sort of harm your opponent. So as a competitive player, I really look forward to that.
I love that. And finally, any future plans for Gamekeeper? I know there's maybe not so much you can share, but I thought I'd ask anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. So for this year, we have something big planned. For essentially the anniversary, the release anniversary. We want to launch a new update where we don't bring out a new dome, but 2 new domes, so which doubles the number of domes in the game. And yeah, they already look very cool. We will have a trailer on that in some time, I think. Yeah, and that should be fun.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. It looks like you have a lot to look forward to, but I'd say we should dig a little deeper. Take a closer look at the multiplayer gameplay footage of Gamekeeper.
Deutschland ist ein guter Standort, um Games zu machen.
Germany has always been a big priority for us.
Einmal im Jahr das Zentrum der Gamesbranche ist hier in Deutschland, in Köln.
Oh, hi there. If you're like me and you get really bad FOMO, don't worry, we got you. You can join the adventure and win cool prizes in this year's Gamescom Epics, the text adventure game of the show, where you solve all of the puzzles and put your nerdy knowledge to the test. And the best part is, you can do it right on your phone. Focus on dialogue, this sci-fi adventure will see you step into the role of a stranded explorer who, through the use of a robust dialogue system, shows you just how scary and awkward, but also how fulfilling communication can really be. This is Misgiven. And the games just keep on coming. We've got another triple stack set of trailers for you. Take a look at Stormgate, Synergy, and 6 Ages 2, Lights Going Out.
Stormgate is a spiritual successor to classic real-time strategy games like Warcraft 3 and StarCraft 2. Stormgate will feature highly asymmetric armies fighting for control of Earth's future. Today we have an early look at our second faction, the Infernal Host. Infernals live and die by the code of victory at any cost. They have a powerful advantage, Shroud, fields of dark magic that strengthen their armies. The lowliest Infernal units are the Worker Imps. You might think they're cute, but don't get too close. Between these powerful lumbering brutes and the fiends that they unleash, Infernals will sacrifice everything, including themselves, to emerge victorious. On the music front, the Chainsmokers are advising us on our soundtrack. We're working with composers like Frank Klepacki of Command & Conquer. We'll share more later this year, including some of the friends we brought in to lend their voices to our co-op campaign.
All must serve.
Our next game combines the cute and cozy aesthetics of a farming sim with the overall vibe of the occult. Prior to this point, I didn't know this was something I needed, and now I'm obsessed. Delve into a world full of magic creatures, cursed crops, you know, all the usual haunted vampire stuff. This is Moonlight Peaks.
Be there. Be strong. Be fierce. Be better. Be different. Be winning. Be epic. Be you at Gamescom 23. Come and be everything at Gamescom 2023.
Next up, we've got a strategy game that boasts fully customizable units and behaviors either alone or with friends. It combines automation, survival, and exploration in a stunning sci-fi setting. It also has cute robots. Check out Desynced.
Hi, I'm Paul from Stage Games, and today I'd like to show you our new game, Desynced. Desynced is a game about using bots to automate the construction and management of a base on an unknown planet. Players must research, build, and grow until they're able to repair their ship in orbit, but as they'll find out, that's only the beginning. When you start the game, you use resources like metal and crystal to produce circuit boards and other materials for more advanced technology. Here's a basic scout. Right now, all it can do is carry things around. But scouts, like all units and buildings in Desynced, can be equipped with components to provide more functionality. Look, with a miner component equipped, they can mine metal ore. Alternatively, I could equip a turret and it could help defend the base. Or I could equip a basic factory component. Now it can produce metal bars without needing to move supplies to a building. There are many other components like radars, radio emitters, wind turbines, extra storage, and even a landing pad for drones. As you progress, you'll unlock units with more component sockets to tailor them to your needs. Desynced is a game where every problem has multiple solutions, and experimentation is key. For example, just like units, buildings in Desynced are also modular. Each building has a number of component slots of different sizes and can be configured to accomplish different tasks. A building located next to a large deposit of metal ore can be equipped with a miner to mine directly into the building. With larger buildings, you can even equip fabricators to process the ore without having to move it. For players who really want to go deep, there's an optional behavior editor in-game to give more control to your units and buildings. This behavior allows a building to request more raw materials once its inventory drops below a certain threshold. A behavior like this means that instead of waiting until inventory is depleted and then requesting more, your factories can produce without stopping. You can even write behaviors to change what a factory is producing based on your global inventory, so that once you have a surplus of, say, metal bars, the factory could switch to producing metal plates without your input. As their base grows, players will discover that native wildlife isn't entirely friendly. Combat in Desynced is mostly optional, and players can choose to play with passive enemies to focus on building, or aggressive enemies for a survival challenge. Play Desynced cooperatively with friends, or go head-to-head. The game already has a large tech tree with dozens of hours of content, with more coming in early access over the next year. Desynced is available in early access now, and we hope you'll check it out on Steam.
It's always nice to see indie games being so successful that they get a sequel. That's why I am so happy to have Yarden from Cloverbyte here to talk with me about Grime 2. So first things first, was a sequel always planned?
So, not exactly, actually. We were working on the first Grime for about 4 years, and it was very exhausting work. We're like a small team of 5 people, and it was a lot of work between the 5 of us. So we were kind of thinking of moving on to something completely different after Grime, like just splitting apart even. But because the game sold pretty well and it got a very good critical reception, that basically is what allowed us to make another game. So we owe a lot of thanks to that.
Awesome. So what can you tell us about the story and the setting?
So the first Grime takes place in a world that's it's sort of obsessed with proportions and anatomy, and the second game is more so about a world that's obsessed with art and making art. So while in Grime, the first one, you had like areas that have like faces thrown about like in deserts, and a lot of body worship imagery of sorts, or body horror. In the second Grime, you will see like basically towns which are made of different forms of art. So like a town of huge nails which are just painted like entrances to houses, towns of giant vases, forests of weapons which are growing from the ground, stuff like that. So that is at the core of Grime's 2 story. Like basically it revolves a lot around art.
Awesome. So, you know, Grime is known for being very atmospheric and very surreal, especially from your description there. What were some of your inspirations?
So, I think every artist and every game is inspired by a lot of things. I'm not going to be able to pull all of them right now. There's so many games that inspired me. I think From Software games, obviously. Also, I think Warframe, the frames design. There's too many to name. But specifically, there's an artist called Wayne Barlow, which wrote a book called God's Demon. That was the very first inspiration for the Grime sort of universe, I guess, at this point. It's about like souls in hell and how they're made of clay and they're very malleable and stuff are made from them. So like basically the whole concept of that is somewhat religiously inspired, but the whole concept of a world where stuff are made from materials rather than flesh. That was probably the main inspiration.
Awesome. That's so exciting to see all of your inspirations kind of play out in this wonderful masterpiece of yours. Brilliant. And so, you know, Grime was known for having really unforgiving boss fights. Can players expect more of the same in Grime 2?
Definitely. I'm always of the belief that personally boss fights are much more satisfying when you feel like you've earned them. Not just the spectacle. It's more about like just like that having it like be really close and feel like you've earned it. However, I wouldn't, in a way, I can probably say it's going to be somewhat more accessible, but in the way that maybe Elden Ring is more accessible. We've learned a lot from games that came like in recent years, Ender Lilies, for example, but also Bloodstained, that the characters have abilities that they collect throughout the game, like specifically from enemies, and this allows players to attack from distance, create dot zones, like basically a lot of like mage abilities, and they can just like play in their own way, like playstyles are completely different between players. So this is sort of ingrained, like added to the Souls-like formula to just give players much more options. Guacamele is also some sort of inspiration because there's a lot of manipulation of the enemies. So over here as well with molds, you can like, molds are the abilities in Grime 2. You can throw enemies into each other, out of cliffs. You can use environmental obstacles to your advantage. There's just much more strategy and options in front of the player. So it's going to be a hard game still, but if you're very strategic and you're thinking about what you're doing, it's probably going to be way easier.
Awesome. Well, you got me really excited to check it out now, so I'd say we do that. Here is Grime 2. like hand-drawn action adventures, relaxing roguelike city crafters, and tile-based planet builders, then you'll love the look of these next 3 games. Check them out. I want to thank you all for being a wonderful audience and joining me for this year's Awesome Indies. If you're down in Cologne this week, come by Hall 10.2 to check out all the best indie games. And if you're watching at home, then make sure you check out the Gamescom Steam event. I have been your host, Shay Thompson, and I'll catch you later. You might as well just take me home.